In your 20s and 30s, dating operates like a heavy piece of machinery. You are pooling resources, buying houses, and raising children. It is a highly practical mechanism, grinding away under the pressure of survival and biology. Because the requirements are so practical, measuring a potential partner is straightforward. You evaluate their earning potential, you measure their ambition, and their reliability as a parent. The checklist is clear, and the exchange of goods is highly legible. Then you reach age 50, and that entire established framework collapses. Society struggles to process this shift. Our culture generally assumes that if you are unmarried at 50, you must possess a purple heart. People expect that your ex-wife took your house, or you watched a spouse succumb to illness. The cultural assumption is that severe trauma is the only valid excuse for remaining single. But emotional baggage isn't the actual crisis of dating later in life. The real shock to the system is navigating a terrifying, unfamiliar absence of practical need. Consider the economic reality of a 50-year-old woman entering the dating pool. She has likely secured an emotionally compelling lifestyle of her own. She may be at the absolute peak of her career, or she has cashed out from a previous marriage and owns her house outright. Men in this demographic face their own psychological reality. While they generally still desire young, beautiful women, a man at 50 often finds the realities of dating someone in their 20s to be inane, fickle, and boring. Their need for intellectual fulfillment actively conflicts with their visual preferences. This animated diagram illustrates the traditional scale of male and female dependency. Watch what happens when neither demographic requires the other for survival, social status, or biology. The requirements evaporate, and the structure breaks entirely. Historically, we use shared needs as the initial reason to interact with a stranger. Without those survival-based requirements, the traditional starting point for a relationship simply vanishes. We historically build romantic connections on mutual dependency. Absolute self-reliance becomes the single greatest obstacle to forming a new bond. Over a lifetime, the attributes we seek in others change because our own circumstances evolve. This creates a shifting exchange where the value of a partner is redefined by their current stage of life. Selecting a partner at age 20 because you think they will be an excellent caretaker on your deathbed is inefficient. You are prioritizing a skill set you won't use for half a century. By 50, the traits you once highly valued are functionally irrelevant. The dominant new currency in this demographic is psychological baggage. Everyone in the market has lived long enough to accumulate unavoidable wounds and deep emotional scars. Some follow a negative psychological pathway. They hold on to their trauma, becoming suspicious, cynical, and defensive. Building a satisfying relationship with them is nearly impossible. Others process their pain. They absorb their losses and emerge with a depth of empathy, self-awareness, and compassion that younger daters simply haven't lived long enough to access. Practical utility drops out of the equation. Emotional resilience, tested and proven through actual suffering, becomes the most critical asset a person can offer. When you ask people in this age bracket what they are actually looking for, the overwhelming consensus points to a single objective: deep emotional resonance. The problem is that emotional resonance is an inherently invisible trait. You cannot measure it across a crowded room. This chart compares the time required to assess a partner's traits. You can verify physical attractiveness or financial stability almost immediately. But proving someone can empathically enter your experience requires an extended timeline. You must sustain multiple interactions over months to gather that data. The search for connection at 50 is an exercise in extreme endurance. The most valuable human traits cannot be superficially measured or quickly verified. This brings us back to the paralyzing absence of practical need between two older individuals. This vacuum allows for a connection based on personal choice. At 50, individuals can select a partner without the pressure of legal contracts, without shared finances or child-rearing obligations. Selection is based on whether they actually enjoy the other person's company. These connections require active construction. They are not spontaneous events that self-aware adults simply stumble upon. Building a connection requires two people to actively apply the emotional intelligence gathered from past trauma. It is a deliberate application of empathy and withheld judgment. Dating after 50 offers a rare opportunity. You leave behind the illusions of youth to construct a relationship entirely free from societal pressures. It is a bond fueled not by what you extract from each other, but by what you choose to build together.